My husband's boss confessed something that turned my life upside down. You won't believe the turn of events. We invite you to embrace the moment by liking the video, sharing your reflections in the comments, and subscribing to remain connected with our latest narratives. At 52, I never envisioned encountering a moment like this. Life, in its essence, was meant to unfold with a certain rhythm by now. Soft mornings nurturing my garden, tranquil afternoons lost in the pages of a book, and gentle evenings with my husband, David, as we share tender memories of the years gone by. But one evening, a whispered exchange transformed everything, stirring within me a deep sense of uncertainty about what I believed to be true. The evening began with a corporate gala organized by David's company. For more than 30 years, he poured his heart into his work, ascending the ranks with a steadfast commitment that spoke volumes. Henry Dawson, his boss, exuded a subtle power, a presence I had only brushed against in the realm of courteous exchanges at past gatherings. He was in his mid-60s, tall and distinguished, exuding a serene confidence that felt natural and unforced. The gala unfolded in a luxurious hotel nestled in downtown Chicago, where the grand chandeliers bathed the elegantly attired guests in a soft, inviting light. The atmosphere was alive with whispers and laughter, the gentle clinking of glasses, and the soothing strains of a jazz band serenading from the corner. Though I wasn't entirely drawn to these gatherings, finding solace in the familiar embrace of home, David's gentle insistence led me to don a simple navy blue dress and join him on this evening's journey. At first glance, everything appeared beautifully mundane. David found himself immersed in conversations with his colleagues, while I engaged in lighthearted exchanges with the other spouses. Everything changed the moment Henry came closer to me. "Linda, may I have a moment?" he asked, his voice rich and inviting amidst the lively chatter of the room. I paused, contemplating his request. A moment? What could it be that David's boss desires from me? But I offered a gentle smile and nodded, allowing him to guide me through a quiet side corridor, away from the lively atmosphere of the main ballroom. The atmosphere was more serene in this moment, the echoes of the gala gently receding into the distance. He led me to an intimate lounge, a warm space adorned with soft lighting, a crackling fireplace, and inviting leather armchairs. The atmosphere was charged with a quiet intensity that lingered between them. My heart quickened ever so slightly as I settled into my seat across from him. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything significant," he said, his smile tinged with a hint of uncertainty. "Not at all," I replied, though an intriguing curiosity stirred within me. "What's on your mind?" he sighed, his hands moving together as if feeling for the right words. After a moment, he finally spoke. "It's about David." At that, I straightened in my chair, a flutter of tension stirring within me. "Is something wrong?" He paused, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. "Not exactly. Yet, there's a truth I believe you ought to hear." The gravity of his words hung in the air, palpable even before they escaped his lips. His expression held a depth that stirred something within me, a subtle intensity that sent a thrill through my veins. "Linda," he continued, his voice soft yet resolute, "I've known David for a long time. I have observed him nurture his ambitions, uplift those around him, and cherish his loved ones. Amidst everything, a realization has gently emerged within me." I took a deep breath. What could it be? He leaned in just a bit, his eyes holding mine with an intensity that stirred something deep within. "He doesn't appreciate you the way he should." The words settled heavily in my chest, stirring a tumult of emotions. My breath hitched, and a surge of protectiveness welled up inside me. I don't understand," I murmured, confusion lacing my voice. "David is a wonderful husband. He has always been that way." Henry nodded. "I understand that he is. But tell me, Linda, when was the last time he genuinely noticed the essence of who you are? Not merely as his wife, but as the extraordinary woman you are." I parted my lips to reply, yet found myself at a loss for words. He continued, his voice a gentle whisper now. "I've noticed the way your gaze lingers on him, even when he's lost in his own world. I've seen you linger in the shadows at gatherings like this, while he immerses himself in his tasks. You pour out your heart, But does he ever return that warmth? A tightness gripped my throat. I yearned to argue, to assert that he was mistaken. Yet a quiet uncertainty stirred within me. I hope I'm not crossing any boundaries, Henry said, leaning back slightly. But sometimes an outsider sees what those inside cannot. I breathed out softly, my thoughts swirling like a gentle breeze. Henry gazed into my eyes, then gave me a subtle, understanding smile. Linda, you deserve to be seen. The words resonated deeply, awakening a part of me I never knew was there. For the first time in ages, a wave of uncertainty washed over me, leaving my emotions in a delicate dance. I remained still, captivated by the moment. Henry's words lingered in my thoughts, awakening feelings I wasn't prepared to face. You deserve to be seen. Had I truly remained in the shadows for so long? I wanted to dismiss his words as just an observation, a thoughtful yet misplaced gesture of goodwill. Yet, beneath the surface, a part of me recognized the truth in his statement. David was a good man, a diligent provider. He had always been steady, dependable, yet in those hushed moments, the ones that held significance, when had he last truly seen me? When had he last acknowledged the subtle ways I endeavored to keep our life vibrant and rich? The way I folded his shirts just as he preferred. The way I adorned our home with his cherished belongings. The way I remained steadfast beside him through every professional victory. Taking a moment to reflect, I cleared my throat, suppressing the emotion that had taken residence within me. Henry, he raised a hand, pausing my words. I don't wish to unsettle you, Linda. Yet, I found myself unable to remain silent. I exhaled softly, feeling the weight of the moment. Your honesty means a great deal to me. I finally spoke, my voice gentler than I had meant it to be. David and I have shared our lives for decades. Marriage encompasses so much more than mere visibility. It's a matter of devotion, of finding a steady ground. Henry nodded, understanding the depth of it all. I know. And I respect that. He leaned forward slightly, his gaze steady and intense. But have you ever pondered what you genuinely desire? The question hung in the air, creating a palpable connection between us. What I desired, for so long, I had poured my energy into understanding David's needs, fulfilling the demands of our marriage, and meeting the expectations placed upon me. I had never taken a moment to reflect on my own yearnings. I released a soft, nervous laugh. Henry, this is quite the intriguing conversation to be having at a corporate gala. It brought a smile to his face. I suppose it is, yet, an inner voice urged me to express it. A hush enveloped us, punctuated solely by the gentle crackle of the fireplace. He let out a soft sigh as he rose to his feet. I should let you return, he said gently. I stood as well, my fingers gliding over the fabric of my dress, a subtle tremor coursing through me. Yes, David will surely ponder my absence. Henry nodded, yet his expression held a mystery that was difficult to decipher. Linda made me promise one thing, though. I tilted my head, curiosity sparking within me. What is that? Please, don't brush aside my words. Take a moment to ponder. I paused for a moment, then nodded gently. Very well. He offered me a soft smile before moving aside, inviting me toward the door with a subtle gesture. As I strolled by him, I sensed the gentle warmth of his presence lingering near me, the gravity of our earlier exchange still resting heavily on my heart. The gala continued to buzz with life when I made my way back. David remained just as I had left him, engrossed in dialogue with his colleagues. At first, he was unaware of my presence. I lingered at a distance, observing him. His expressions were lively, and his hands danced through the air as he shared his thoughts. It was a part of him I had always cherished. His fervor, his ambition. Yet, Henry's words lingered in my mind. Had David ever regarded me with that same intensity? When he finally turned his gaze in my direction and noticed me standing there, he offered a subtle nod before returning to his discussion. Something within me stirred. Henry had sown a seed, and despite my efforts to dismiss it, I felt it starting to blossom. The journey home was enveloped in silence. David sat beside me, his hands steady on the wheel. His eyes locked on the shadowy road ahead. The city lights danced by in a fleeting haze. Yet my thoughts drifted far away. Henry's words resonated within me, his voice lingering like a haunting melody I couldn't forget. You deserve to be noticed. I caught a glimpse of David. He appeared weary, a subtle line of tension etched between his brows. Nearly 40 years of marriage had allowed me to memorize every detail of his face. The sharp lines of his jaw, the way his eyes crinkled with laughter, the way his lips pressed together in thought. Yet, I found myself wondering when he had truly looked at me last. He cleared his throat, shattering the stillness between us. Did you enjoy yourself this evening? The question took me by surprise. It was something he inquired after every occasion, every gathering, every dinner, almost as if it were a ritual rather than a sincere interest. I paused before responding. It was intriguing. He nodded, lost in thought. Good, good, and just like that, the moment slipped away. I shifted my gaze back to the window, observing the city fade into the distance as we journeyed toward the serene suburbs. Upon our arrival, David followed his familiar routine, removing his jacket, placing his keys on the counter, and disappearing into his office for a final glance at his emails. I lingered in the kitchen, lost in thought, gazing at the vacant spot he had just occupied. I felt a complex swirl of emotions towards him. It wasn't anger, not really. David had always been this way, devoted to his craft, unwavering in his habits. He had provided me with a comfortable existence, a life filled with certainty. Yet, Henry's words had stirred something deep within me, something I found impossible to suppress. I made my way to the bedroom and glimpsed my reflection in the mirror. At 62, my once auburn hair now danced with strands of silver. Delicate lines adorned my face, whispering stories of the years I had embraced. Yet my eyes remained unchanged. Within them, I discovered a feeling I hadn't recognized in ages, a deep sense of solitude. I had always thought this was simply a part of growing older. This gentle retreat into the shadows, this slow drift into the familiar. But now, for the first time, I questioned if that was truly the case. The following morning, as David departed for work, he pressed a soft kiss on my cheek and said, "I'll be home late. There's an important client meeting ahead." I nodded gently, a soft smile gracing my lips. "Everything will be just fine. Take care." And then he disappeared. I lingered in the doorway for a while before retreating back inside. Typically, my days are consumed by errands, housework, or tending to my garden. Yet today, an unfamiliar restlessness stirred within me. Before I could dismiss the impulse, I found myself reaching for my phone, dialing a number I never imagined I would. Henry answered on the second ring. "Linda?" His voice held a subtle hint of surprise. I inhaled deeply, savoring the moment. "Do you have time for a cup of coffee?" There was a pause, and then softly, "Of course." An hour later, I found myself sitting across from him at a serene cafe by the lake. The aroma of roasted coffee beans and warm pastries enveloped the space. Outside, the autumn leaves swirled gracefully in the gentle breeze. Henry's gaze met mine, filled with a soft, lingering curiosity. "I found myself uncertain about whether your voice would reach me again." As I stirred my coffee, I observed the delicate dance of cream merging with the deep, rich liquid. The thought of calling lingered in my mind, but hesitation held me back. He nodded, anticipation in his gaze. I let out a slow breath, my mind lingering on your words. His expression held a mystery that drew me in. I paused for a moment, then found the courage to meet his gaze. "You were right." Something glimmered in his gaze, an unspoken depth that eluded my understanding. "Linda, I'm not claiming to regret my journey," I interjected softly. "David and I have created something profound, something genuine. Yet, somewhere in the journey, I seem to have lost the ability to desire something just for me." Henry leaned in a bit closer, and in that moment, I found myself holding my breath. Now, I find myself uncertain. A hush enveloped us, punctuated solely by the soft murmur of voices in the background. At last, Henry broke the stillness, his voice barely above a whisper. I simply desire your happiness. I gazed at him, truly gazed at him. He was a man with no obligation to intrude upon my life. No reason to utter the words he had, other than the fact that he had perceived something within me that I had yet to discover. And in that moment, I understood the weight of a decision before me. I lingered at the small cafe table, gazing at Henry, my fingers gently cradling the warmth of my coffee cup. All I desire is for your happiness. His words lingered in the atmosphere, weighty yet tender, reminiscent of a truth I had long evaded. For years, I convinced myself that contentment sufficed, that security, stability, and loyalty formed the foundation of a fulfilling life. And indeed, they did. Yet Henry had revealed something profound within me, an unrecognized longing, a desire to truly experience. I inhaled deeply, the heaviness of my reflections enveloping me. Henry, I find myself at a loss with all of this. His gaze turned gentle. You need not do anything, Linda. Reflect on the moments that bring you joy. When did you last indulge in something solely for your own pleasure? I began to speak but hesitated. When was that last time? I had devoted years to nurturing David, ensuring his aspirations, his dreams, and his universe were preserved. I had crafted a life of structure, of familiarity. Yet, where do I fit into this picture? I savored a sip of my coffee, the deep, comforting warmth anchoring me for just a moment. I find myself questioning my identity beyond the confines of my marriage. I found myself surprised by my own admission. Henry offered me a subtle, understanding smile. Perhaps it's time to discover what lies ahead. I released a soft, trembling laugh, a hint of uncertainty in my voice. It feels daunting, perhaps, but also thrilling. Wouldn't you agree? I remained silent. I couldn't find the words, because deep within, I understood he was right. We lingered in quietude for a moment. The world beyond continued its dance, with cars gliding by, laughter echoing, and the gentle breeze caressing the golden autumn leaves. Life rushed forward, yet in this moment, I found a stillness I craved. I placed my cup aside and locked eyes with him, feeling a connection that stirred something deep within. I find myself uncertain about what lies ahead, Henry, yet, I feel a deep yearning to embrace life once more. A smile danced at the edge of his lips. That's all I wished for you to understand. When David returned that night, I was already at the kitchen table, waiting. He hardly glanced my way as he placed his briefcase down and loosened his tie. It had been a long day, he murmured, weariness evident in his voice. I gazed at him for a moment. This man with whom I had woven a life. This man I had cherished for decades. And yet, as he moved around the house, an unspoken gap lingered between us, a silent divide that had quietly expanded over the years. I inhaled deeply. David, can we talk? He hesitated, finally meeting my gaze. About what? I swallowed hard. About us? His brows knitted together in curiosity. What about us? I paused, feeling the weight of the unspoken, then finally released the words that had been stirring within me since last night. I feel unseen, David. He blinked. What? I sense that I've devoted so much time to being the partner who uplifts you, who maintains the flow, who ensures that our life remains balanced. And I do love you. Yet, somewhere along this journey, I faded from view. His brow furrowed, a hint of surprise crossing his features. Linda, what is this feeling that has surfaced? I shook my head. It has lingered within me for so long, I simply never allowed myself to voice it. He settled into the chair opposite me, his hand brushing over his face in a thoughtful gesture. I had no idea you held these feelings. I observed him intently. Did you ever wonder? He remained quiet. In that instant, a bittersweet truth dawned on me. David wasn't a bad husband. He wasn't unkind or inattentive intentionally. He had merely believed, as I did, that marriage signified a certain rhythm, that familiarity alone would suffice. We no longer felt the need to reach out to one another as we used to. Yet, that absence didn't signify a full existence. It lacked the essence of love. Not anymore. What are you saying? He finally inquired, his tone laced with hesitation. I take a deep breath. I must rediscover the essence of living for myself. His expression shifted, a hint of concern crossing his features. Are you revealing something about me? I paused, then gently denied it with a shake of my head. I find myself uncertain about what lies ahead, David, yet I realize that I cannot continue in this way. If we wish for our marriage to endure, a transformation is necessary. He gazed at me, his eyes lingering, and in that moment, after so long, I caught a glimpse of something stirring within him. Understanding. Perhaps there was a moment for us to mend what was broken. Perhaps there wasn't. Yet, for the first time in many years, I felt an awakening to discover the truth.